As she said, my name's Brian. I'm a grateful believer in Christ, and my struggle was once chemical dependency. Hey, hey. Man, some bright lights, bright lights. So we are, like she said earlier, we are on step 4, and he'll be, I guess, putting the slides up behind me, but we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves, and then the scripture is Lamentations 3:40. Let us test and examine our ways, and let us turn back to the Lord. So with that, we just, I want to start it out with saying we have to face our problems and our issues head on, right? We have to be willing to look inward and admit how you've affected yourself and those around you. And for me, that started with inventory. So it's where it's going to start in 4 is where we're going to start, like, literally working the process and taking it all in and jotting things down and seeing what we did and what we did in our past and all that sort of thing. I know admission is huge, but this is even better or bigger. This is literally facing it. So, and I know y'all are probably going to get sick of hearing my story, but it's what I got. It's my story. And so I'm kind of going to touch on some of that stuff again, and then because I feel like I don't know, it needs to be heard here tonight, and it was the direction that I took. So for me, basically was an alcoholic, a heavy alcohol user for over 20 years, and just started out as a party animal in school, and it just progressed from there, and it's just what I did. And I basically wouldn't ever admit I had an issue. I wouldn't admit I had problems, and my life was completely falling apart. Everything was just crashing around me, right? And I still wouldn't admit it. So I had to do the inventory to see how I was affecting other people, and then that's when it kind of started clicking for me. So in my marriage, obviously I had not obviously, but I had gotten removed from my home a couple different times by the police because I would show my butt and get drunk and act crazy and go crazy, and Catherine would, I don't know, I guess she could probably take me, honestly, but I don't know why she wouldn't. I don't know why she didn't, I don't know, I guess she felt like maybe she needed some backup, I don't know, but she would call the cops and they'd come and kick me out of my house. So I had to put myself in that situation and think about these things and how I was affecting my children. I had 2 beautiful children, and I was hurting both of them. They were being raised to see that this is how their father acts. Is this the way that a dad should be? Is this the way a husband should be to their wife? And absolutely not. It's not what I wanted for them. It's not what I wanted them to see. I was hurting, everybody around me, family, friends, parents, you name it, because every time I would get kicked out, where was the first place I went anyway? It was my mom and dad. I always knew they would take me back in. And looking back, you know what they should have told me? Should have told me no. They should have sent me to wherever. But anyway, they loved me and took me in, and which I am grateful. But yes, hard love. It should have been some hard love there. But so through 4, obviously I had to make amends to all of them. Over time, I've made amends to every single person that I've just listed. And my most recent one was this past step study I just did, or process group I just did. And I actually finally made one to my son. So it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. This was, almost 7 years of being sober, and I finally got around to making amends to my son. I'd also, obviously, it was affecting me, right? I was destroying not only the people around me in my circle, in my family, but I was destroying myself. I was destroying my body. The last 2 times I had went for physical at the doctor, he was like, "Man, we got to get you back up here and talk about my liver enzymes, because they were off from drinking so much." And so I was basically destroying my body. I was tearing myself down. I was creating a pretty decent rap sheet for myself. I was constantly getting in trouble and getting arrested, and 3 DUIs. I was on my way. I was on my way to prison time if I didn't turn things around. So I got some not so good mug shots. Apparently, if you Google me, it's like mug shots and Brian Raynor Auto Works owns a business. I'm like, they go together. That's great. That's good for business, let me tell you. So anyway, yeah, it's all right there together. So, but I mean, hey, it's the way it's supposed to be, right? It's the way it is what it is. I got nothing to hide at this point. It's all out there. Going to jail, having jail time, it affected my ability to work. It affected my ability to function with anything, much less work. You know, just, again, being a bad husband, a bad father, just all the things. Not to mention it cost lots of money, totaled a ton of cars. I don't know why I'm still here. Probably should have been dead, I don't know. But I was even thinking about it at one point. My insurance, just my car insurance, was as much as our house payment at one point. So I had that's where how far my addiction had got with me. So I put it above and ahead of everything. So everything. I was thinking about it this Christmas. You know, it was, it was smaller, but I was also thinking about the past Christmases. And when I say smaller, my kids are grown now, but I was sober. And it was for the 6th or 7th year in a row that I've done Christmas sober. And it was just, it was kind of surreal just to kind of sit there and think about it, you know, because I used to always make it a point to I would be hammered. I couldn't even help most of the time Catherine do anything. I didn't want to help do anything because usually by that time, late at night or whatever, when the kids were little, I felt like crap, and I'd usually passed out and had to get back up. And so it was nice having a good Christmas, sober Christmas. But it was everything. It was beach trips. It was vacations. Every single gathering I went to, everything I did, it was what I wanted to do. It was all I could think about. And I would blame everybody else, and I would blame everything else except for me. I wouldn't look inward at myself, and I always tried to control it. So I said all that to say this. Inventory is where I learned all the things that I was just saying. Like, I learned how I was affecting those other people, and I learned how I was hurting all those other people, including myself. And I was obviously not a very good, I wasn't a Christian or anything like that, so I know God was frowning on me, that's for sure. But inventory is where I learned all these things. It was where I learned who I was hurting and how I was hurting people. And I had to admit that I had a problem, right? So admission is huge. I get that. I mean, it's a big thing because, like I said, I denied it for so long. I didn't want to admit anything. But when I got into inventory, that's where the real work came in. That's where the real healing started to happen. So I had to obviously work the process. I had to work the steps, and inventory, like where we're in step 4 is where it all begins. So it gives me the tools, right? It gives me the things needed to do these things. We need tools to do things well. We need lots of tools to do something well, not just a couple. I own a shop, like I said a while ago. If I just had a hammer, a screwdriver, and an adjustable wrench, I wouldn't be able to call myself a mechanic, right? I wouldn't be able to say, man, I can do these things. I'm a professional, but here's my 3 tools. I got 3 tools in my toolbox over here, and I probably have no less than, I don't know, 5 or 6 big boxes in my shop and cabinets everywhere. I mean, there's tons of stuff everywhere. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of tools to do something well and to do it right. So with that's where we begin in step 4, using those tools and acquiring those tools that we need. So for you guys and us collectively, I want you to ask yourself, what issues are you facing? What issues do you have? And think about the things that are not only affecting you, but also the people that are around you. Who are you affecting? Like I said, I was obviously affecting my wife and my kids. Maybe some of that's the same for you. And it doesn't have to be substance abuse. I know chemical dependency and that sort of thing. Granted, that is big, I get that, but here, recovery, I mean, it can be anything. It can be anything that you struggle with. It's just literally fill in the blanks. So I just put a few things down for examples, but I think a lot of people struggle with. And the first one is pride and arrogance. People are preoccupied with their appearances, right? We're overly critical, and sometimes we can be rude. And then some people with prideful issues, they don't listen. They don't know how to listen, or they won't. They won't listen at all. And then there's greed. We put things, stuff, money, possessions, we'll put them before our family, we'll put them before our friends, and we're willing to hurt either ourselves or others to get ahead. And when I say ourselves, it's maybe you work too much. Maybe you're working a lot of hours just to have more. That's a character defect. Then there's laziness. You won't do anything unless it serves you. So unless it benefits you or it's about you, then maybe you're not willing to do anything or help do anything. And I'm just going to throw this plug in here. We always need volunteers. We always need help around here. So if anybody wants to volunteer and you want to X this one off your list tonight at the end, talk to Joey. We'll see Joey and maybe get you plugged in somewhere. And then there's anger, annoyance, maybe displeased with everything and anything, hostility. I know I sometimes struggle with the negative Nelly stuff. I mean, I can see myself getting on that bandwagon once in a while, and that's something I have to work on for myself. And then here's another one I have to work on. So a lot of this stuff, y'all, it applies to me too, man. I struggle with a lot of stuff too. Like I said, there's tons of character defects, tons of things that we can all work on. So this one's more, I guess, of a mental health kind of thing, but again, it's something I personally struggle with, and that's anxiety. I struggle a lot with anxiety. My heart was pounding out of my chest sitting over there knowing I had to come up here and talk to you guys. I mean, some people just get so overwhelmed that they can't function or just do normal, regular, everyday tasks, and I get that. I've been there. The normal, simple things, I mean, something as simple as going to Walmart sometimes seems impossible, right? And I get it. Like, again, I've been there. I've struggled with that myself. So as part of that too, I thought it was kind of funny. I wasn't even supposed to be up here tonight. I wasn't supposed to be doing a lesson. Catherine was supposed to be doing it, but she falls under that laziness category I was talking about a while ago. And there she is. She's loafing around. She went and got something. Water, okay? So I'm always done. But yeah, I wasn't even supposed to be up here, so I was just as part of it, the whole anxiety thing, I was thinking, I was thinking about, man, that makes me nervous. I don't want to get up there. I don't want to do the lesson. I don't, I compare myself to other people, and I'm like, I'm not as good. I'm not good enough anyway. Other people can do it better. Just let somebody else do it. Let Catherine do it. So I'm trying to get out of it, honestly. And it was just funny because Joyce asked me last Friday, she was asking me when I was going to do another lesson. I said, I have no idea. I was like, yeah, I probably need to work on that some, maybe step up a little more, do a little more. But it's this week, if you were wondering. Miss Joyce, if you're here, I don't know if I saw you earlier, but yeah, it's this week. So, again, wasn't supposed to be up here. Kind of Catherine got a super bad cold sickness. That stuff is going around like crazy, man. Good grief. So we need to be in prayer for people that's going through being sick. I know a lot of people here have been sick. But anyway, she got sick, and kind of at the last minute, she was like, hey, you're going to have to do it. There's no way I can. And she couldn't. So anyway, I threw something together kind of last second, so I'm going to blame it on that. If anybody does not enjoy what I'm saying or have tonight, it's because I literally did it 5 minutes before I showed up. So I didn't have time to prep, and then we can always blame Catherine for that. Because, is that right? She's not much on preparation, so she'll know what I'm talking about. So I want you to think about your top struggle. Like, what is your struggle? What do you feel like you're dealing with personally? Again, how are you hurting those around you, and not only those around you, but yourself. I know that was something that kind of opened my eyes too. I was like, man, not only am I hurting everybody around me, I'm hurting myself. So what are you putting ahead of yourself or others or the people that are around you? And again, there's a bajillion character defects. That's what makes this program, I guess, last forever and be infinite. Because if I just got up here and said, man, I'm struggle with chemical dependency, I mean, that was a huge one for me, but I'm done, and then I could stay home. That's not the case. I'm just barely smart enough, and Catherine lets me know all the time, I got plenty of other character defects. I got plenty of other things I can work on. So I'll just keep coming back and chipping away at them. I mean, that's all I know to do. So, and then, of course, I wanted to bring out somebody from the Bible that I felt like struggled with character defects and had to cry out and that sort of thing, just something biblical to kind of base it on. So I was wanting to look up something and find somebody, but you know what? King David was kind of like my first go-to, and honestly, it's because I feel like most of us have probably heard that story of him committing adultery with Bathsheba, and then he even had her husband killed, right? So, I mean, murder, and I know John said, I guess it depends on how it's interpreted, possibly rape, who knows? So, I mean, obviously he did some pretty bad stuff, but David also admitted when he was wrong, and he also cried out to God when he was wrong, and because he knew it. And I don't know, I know they probably, or they didn't, because it's just got started a few years ago, but if they would have had Recovery Alive, I feel like David probably would have been there, right? I think he probably did his own version between him and God of his recovery. And I mean, he wrote most of the Psalms, and then pulled a couple of verses out of Samuel. So 2 Samuel says, but in my distress, I cried out to the Lord. Yes, I cried to my God for help. He heard me from his sanctuary. My cry reached his ears. So how many of you know, no matter how much we're struggling, no matter what we're going through, no matter how bad it seems or how bad it is, God's always listening. He's always there to hear us. And sometimes we got to cry out for help. Sometimes we got to ask. I mean, that's part of surrender. Isaiah 41:13 says, for I hold you by your right hand, I, the Lord God, and I say to you, don't be afraid, I am here to help you. So how awesome is that? It's that simple. He's just like, man, I'm just here to help you. Like, I just want to help you. But again, we have to admit, we have to cry out, and we have to ask for help. And then Romans 12:2, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world. Yes, good grief. But let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. And I know for me personally, that was a big thing. I mean, I tried to do the things the way the world wanted them, because I did copy the behaviors of the world and the customs of the world, and it got me into a mess. It got me into basically homelessness, like I said earlier, with no job. I didn't have a job, a broken marriage, kids I couldn't see, kids I couldn't be around. That's where it got me, following the customs of the world. So I know most of us, we're responsible for our own struggles, and I mean, not all of them. I get some things are out of our control, and I'm not talking about those things, but for the most part, we put things on ourselves. I know I do, and but we all have to do like David, and we have to repent and turn to God for our hope and healing. So for me, I had to admit that what I was doing was not only hurting me, but it was also hurting my family and everyone around me. And I had to dig deep, and I had to admit that what I was doing was wrong and that I had a problem. And this is all based on what I learned from step 4 and progressing through the steps. I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to say I had a problem. It's not easy. I know I did. I denied it for over 20 years. Again, I blamed everyone and everything else around me, and I still thought I could control it. I always thought I can do it just one more time and be okay. and I never could. I never was able to control it. It was just always out of control. And I know for me, it was just, honestly, it was familiar too, is what I knew. So it was easier for me to continue in my addiction, and I held it close because, it's what I knew. I felt comfortable in it. Even though it was causing me so much pain and aggravation, I was still scared to give it up. I didn't know what it was going to look like if I did give it up. I don't know. It's just weird how that works. I knew I was getting in trouble, and I knew I was losing my family, and I knew I was losing my job, but it's just the willingness to let something go that's hurting you, knowing that it's hurting you, and I still wasn't willing and capable of doing it for so long. It's just crazy, but that's why we're here. That's why we're here tonight. So I had to do that searching and fearless moral inventory, and I had to review my life. I had to review the situations that I was in. I had to look at all my fears, and I had to look at my beliefs, and I had to see the truth of my troubles. And honestly, I think Catherine would attest to it. I'm completely different now. I'm a completely different person than I used to be. It's night and day. Thank you. And I know there's people, honestly, all over this room, man. It's amazing to watch, too. There's nothing more rewarding and satisfying than going through process groups with people and seeing where they are in their addictions or in their struggles, and then seeing them grow and progress and change and get better. It's amazing to watch, and it makes it all worthwhile. It really does. So let's see. Yeah, maybe working through the steps, and maybe see things from others' perspectives, and made me put myself in their shoes. So I think a big one for me, for the first one that popped in my head when I was talking about this, and many of you had heard about it because I had never heard anybody else having to do it, but when we were separated and the kids would come to see me or whatever, for me to drive them around, I know this was a big struggle for us, but just listen to me where I'm going with it. Catherine had bought a breathalyzer, and I took the first breathalyzer. If y'all heard my testimony, I rewired it, so every time I blew a 0, even though I was like reeking of alcohol and probably stumbling. You can tell if somebody's wasted or not. And so it was the whole gaslighting thing, right? Have y'all ever heard that? The whole gaslighting thing, if I'm wrong, it's still your fault kind of stuff. So yeah, I had done that, but then she bought another one, and she kept it on her at all times, so I couldn't get my hands on it and figure out my wiring skills on it. But it was a big thing for us, because even when I started getting sober, so I actually started getting some sobriety under there, and I got some weeks and I got some months. And man, Catherine, she may be a little overbearing sometimes. I'm just throwing that out there. And I could tie my shoelace wrong, and it would be longer on one side than the other, and Kath would be like, breathalyzer. Like, geez, almighty. Yeah. I ain't supposed to clap for her. Tape measure to measure my shoestrings. But anyway, she was giving me this breathalyzer just constant all the time, and I was getting tired of it. I was like, good grief, because it was kind of demoralizing and humiliating and just all the things. If you ever had to blow on a breathalyzer and you're a dude, it just wasn't what I wanted to do. And so it was like a big thing of contention for us. But then, obviously, we were going through counseling and all these sort of things at the same time. But when it finally clicked for me was I had to put myself in her shoes. I had to look at it through her eyes, and I had to say, what would I do if I was Catherine? I would probably be 100 times worse, to be honest with you. I would probably be 1,000,000 times worse. So, thank you. I can't fault her for doing it. She should have done it more. I know that was, like I said, that was a big thing for me, man. It was just putting myself in her shoes and putting myself in my kids' shoes. I know, for my daughter, had relapsed 6 months in when she was in the hospital, basically almost died, and I know a lot of y'all had heard that, and that's when I had a major relapse, and then I got to thinking about that, did the same thing. I was like, how would I have felt if it would have been me laying in the hospital, and a person that was supposed to be there for me at their lowest, and was supposed to be strong for me, and was supposed to be the one taking care of me and helping me, ran off and basically said, I'm putting this substance or this liquid ahead of you, and that's literally what I did, and that was a big change of point for me too, because I said, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to hurt my kids like that again. I'm not going to do it. And that definitely is a huge thing for keeping me sober today. And you guys, I love you guys, because that would look bad if I didn't do it, right? So as a whole, I guess, I want you to ask yourselves probably just a bunch of questions. What would your life look like if we started admitting our wrongs and admitting our shortcomings and being willing to work on them? So admitting, again, like I said a while ago, admitting is huge. I get that. It's a big deal. But inventory is where real, true healing starts to take place. Because we have to start literally thinking on these things and digging these things up. And like I said a while ago, pondering and putting ourselves in other people's shoes and looking at those different perspectives through different people's eyes. It's kind of like we've had a lot of people, well, not a lot, but a couple people here at church posting about all their dash lights being on their car, right? And so obviously I feel like I say something every time I get up here, but I'm a car guy, so I talk about car stuff. It's what I know. So your lights are on. All these warning lights are up there. But what does that mean? I can admit I have my lights on, my check engine lights on, all these other lights on. Half of them, people don't even know what they mean. They got to look them up in the book. But what do you have to do? You have to admit they're on and be willing to take it to somebody that can help you. You got to take it to somebody who has the tools that, like I was talking about a while ago, that can go in there and look at what the root cause of it is and be able to identify that and fix it. And a lot of times it's probably not going to be even close to what you think it should be. It may be something completely different. It could be something completely off the wall. We also have to be willing to be real with ourselves and admit our character defects. How hard is that? I know for me, a lot of times I don't want to do that. I don't want to admit I have anxiety and I struggle with anxiety. I think a lot of my drinking issues were probably, and using was based on that, to be honest with you, because if I did that, I could be the life of the party. I didn't give a crap. I had no inhibitions whatsoever. I was wild. I was just ridiculous. And not doing it. I'm this anxiety riddled, I was the whole 10-foot tall and bulletproof thing. And I'm, 5 foot tall and anxious. So, well, we can learn a lot from ourselves, but we got to be willing to do that. And how much we can grow from working on our issues. If everybody would do it, I feel like, man, how much better would the world be, right? If we would all work on things like what happens in here on a Friday night, if we would all do the things like we're doing here. Because, this group's amazing. There's absolutely amazing guys. Families would get healed. Individuals would heal. People would find sobriety. People would find love and compassion for each other. People would find meaningful relationships that last with each other. How many people struggle with that? That's a huge one. We would grow instead of being stuck where we are. And we would constantly strive to work more character defects. And then you can be the key. So you can be the key to helping the next person, right? I know I was looking through, I don't know why, I got my watch out of my drawer, and I had a sunglasses case, actually, and it's got all my chips in there, and it's just jam full. And no, I don't pick up chips just to pick up chips. So I don't have like 3,000, white chips. And I picked up, for me, it's very serious. So I only pick up the ones that I actually felt like I earned and needed. But it's full. I got a bunch of them. And there was a key in there. And Catherine actually gave it to me. That I was the reason she is here. It's not because of anything I did. It's because of what God did in me. And I get emotional because I see what she's doing here now. I mean, she's amazing. She's an absolute amazing person. And you gotta be to live with me. So, and it's not only that. Another thing, another story that came up, and I don't know. I was kind of struggling with if I was going to share it or not. But I think I am, because I think it matters to people, and I think people will see that no matter where you're at and what you're doing, that you can be the key to someone else. You can be something that brings somebody else in here for them to find hope and healing. So, my daughter, she lives in Wilmington. She's not even here. She's got her cart, but she came for Christmas, obviously, and she needs an oil change. And I had no clue, but it said it needed a service. And so I was like, okay, well, just take it to the Honda place and let them do it. And something just kept telling me, no, just take it to the shop and change it. I'm like, it's the day after Christmas, but I was starting to get a little stir crazy anyway. And so I go to the shop, and I'm changing her oil, and a guy shows up and wants to talk to me about looking at his truck. No big deal. I mean, it's every day. I get that. But me and him are talking, and he opens up, and I'm not going to share too much because I like I said, I hadn't asked for permission or whatever, but basically it boiled down to me just inviting him here. And he actually showed up. So I say all that to say you can be someone's key. And you don't even have to realize what you're doing. I had no clue what I was doing. I was literally going to my shop to change oil in my daughter's car, but someone showed up that reached out, and I think, needed some help. And I don't think any of that stuff happens by accident. I really don't. So I'm also going to shamelessly steal something from Matt. Thanks, Matt. From my last process group, and he had spoke about it, and I actually looked it up a little bit, and it had to do with the buffalo and the storm. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, and I thought it was kind of neat. And the Native Americans back in the day, whenever it was, noticed out in the plains that when a storm was coming in, they could see them coming in. If the cattle and the buffalo were grazing together, the cows would run away from the storm, but the buffalo would run into the storm. And the reason they would do that is because it would actually get them through it quicker. And then the other thing is the cows would be exhausted. They would literally run themselves to exhaustion. So I asked myself, how many of you are exhausted? How many of you are tired of running? How many of you know that storm's there? You know it's coming. You know it's coming. But you know what? We need to do like the buffalo. We need to run into the storm, because you know who's in the middle of it waiting? God's waiting in the middle of that storm. And he's got his hand out. He's saying he wants to help you. He's got his hand out. He said, like I said in the scripture a while ago, he's like, I'm here for you. I want to help you. So we're going to open the altars, and if you guys would feel led to come, but I want you to ask yourself, what are you willing to admit that you need to work on? What in your life needs to change for yourself and the people around you? And like I said, that storm's coming, and it's going to catch you. It's inevitable. It's going to come right over you. Are you going to run from it? Or are you going to run into it? Because God, like I said, God's waiting. He's in the storm. He's waiting for you. And he just wants us to come to him, and he just wants us to surrender. And I know it's a whole New Year's resolution thing for people to come up and say they want to work on something or they want to change something and do something different and do something for a beginning. But I don't want you to do it for a new year. I want you to do it for a new life. I think a lot of times we're looking in the mirror, but we're looking on the wrong side. We need to flip that thing around and start looking at ourselves. And we need to start running into the storm. We need to ask God for his help. So I ask you, what are you ready to surrender? And what are you ready to get rid of? The altars are open, guys. Thank you.